Dan Quinn staying put in Dallas as the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. I suggested yesterday that he only did that because he knew he wasn't going to get one of those jobs. I was told by someone in the know, not so. Could have had one of the jobs, decided to stay in Dallas. I was told to read between the lines. I don't know what that means. I'm still trying to read between the lines, but it very well could be that Dan Quinn becomes the successor at some point to Mike McCarthy if things continue the way they have. 12-win seasons, pretty good 2 straight years. It's gotten 6 assistant coaches fired, unfortunately for them, but I think that was a consideration of maybe some dead weight that they want to shed as they continue to try to go next level. But the bottom line is Quinn is back, at least for another year, deciding not to pursue the head coaching vacancies that he interviewed for last week, Peter.
Here's the quote from Mike McCarthy yesterday in announcing that Dan Quinn was going to stay. Someone asked him yesterday about his conversations with Jerry Jones this week in the wake of the disappointing loss at San Francisco with a fairly debacle ending. This is Mike McCarthy, and I quote, "He told me a number of times this week that he wants me to coach here as long as Coach Landry did. I said, okay, that's a long time." So it doesn't sound like that Jerry Jones would simultaneously be throwing out any breadcrumbs on a trail that Dan Quinn will be the head coach as soon as we can get rid of Mike McCarthy. And again, I'm being crass there. But what I mean is I shouldn't say that. I don't know. But I felt the exact same way as you did, Mike. And again, it could be that Dan Quinn might have had a chance at job X, which he thought was going to be instant failure, whatever job X would be. Maybe Arizona. Who knows? Who knows? But I find it hard to believe that you spend hours in a short week interviewing for 2 head coaching jobs, and then right after the playoff game, when you're eliminated, 2 days later, 3 days later, you say, "Oh, I'm getting out of this. I'm not involved in any of these jobs anymore." And look, we probably are not going to know the real truth about this, but I'm skeptical that anybody who would say, "Oh yeah, he could have gotten one of these jobs." I mean, why do you spend time in a short week interviewing hours, Mike? I was told that the Indianapolis interview with Dan Quinn took more than 5 hours. Last Friday, if that's the case, just explain to me why all of a sudden at the end of the season, he just says, "Whoop, not interested anymore. I'm staying in Dallas." Unless he got an incredible golden handshake from Jerry Jones, which is possible because Josh McDaniels got one to stay in New England. I have the same suspicions you have.
Now, I agree with everything you're saying. As it relates to Jerry Jones and his position, he wants Mike McCarthy to coach there as long as Tom Landry did. Mike McCarthy would have to coach every year until he's 85 to coach as long as Tom Landry did. Second, Jerry Jones. One thing I've learned over the last 20 years, Jerry Jones reserves the right to completely contradict himself at any time. And finally, maybe what Jones meant was, I want McCarthy to coach as long as Landry did after I bought the team, which was no games at all. We'll find out. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.